Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well. Today as we come to our word from the word, and today that word is attribute. Attribute. Or you could look at it as attribute. Either way actually will apply today because he's looking at the attributes of God and he's attributing the things of God to him and his nature and his character. But here, either way, today I want us to see his response, and this is leading us today in Job chapter 12. Job chapter 12 and Job chapter 13 that we'll look at tomorrow. Just one verse tomorrow, probably one of the most famous lines in all of Job. And today is kind of even setting the stage. This is the beginning of his rebuttal, if you want to look at it that way, back to Zophar and what he has said. And he's just going on. He starts off basically saying, "Oh, y'all must be all the ones that have wisdom. I have nothing." And that's where he starts today in Job chapter 12. You look at the first 6 verses. It says, "Then Job answered and said, No doubt you are the people, and wisdom will die with you. But I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Indeed, who does not know such things as these? I am one mocked by his friends, who called on God, and he answered him. The just and blameless who is ridiculed. A lamp is despised in the thought of one who is at ease. It is made ready for those whose feet slip. The tents of robbers prosper, and those who provoke God are secure in what God provides by his hand." Now he goes on after that and he says, look, you can even ask all the animals, you can see everything in nature. Everybody knows that God's in charge. And that's kind of what he's saying. Look, your arguments against me. Look, I know he's in charge of everything. And God, Job never questions that. He only just basically kind of questions the fact of why am I at the end of his pointy finger? Why am I at the end of his arrows, right? His flaming arrows he's shooting at me. I feel like I'm a target. And he says, why? That's my argument. And he says, look, we know God is in control. We know God. You ask anybody and everything. And so I love the fact that he attributes all the good things with God as well. Now, there's plenty of times that Job struggles, just as all of us would, with giving, really even casting blame against God. But he doesn't do that. Now we know from like the book of James that tells us that, look, only good comes from the Lord. Right? Now we know from this passage, right? We look at, through the book of Job, we know that all the evil that has come, all the bad things, as we would say it, all the bad things that have come have been at the hand of Satan. Now we cannot negate or overlook the fact that, yes, God allowed it to happen. Now we could speculate all day long, and we'd be talking just like Job and his friends if we really tried to get down to the point of where we understood exactly why God allows things to happen in the way that he does. But we don't. We don't know why. We cannot really understand why, because we're not God. If we could fully comprehend all of it, then he would cease to be God. And that's essentially what you find by the end of Job, that he finds out that, look, even if I could begin to touch the edge of the beginning of God, I still would not have understanding of all of God. And that's why his thoughts are not our thoughts, his ways are not our ways. And as we look to that, I wonder today, if you're going through a battle, going through a struggle, going through a difficult time, what kind of attributes of God are you looking for? What are you willing to give God credit for? Right? Too often we give him the credit or the blame, especially. We like to blame God for allowing things in our lives that we got ourselves into and on our own rather. I wonder today, will you be willing to just look to God and say, God, what is it? Kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. What is it that you want me to see? I wonder how often we'd be willing to humble ourselves and say, God, you know best. But look, if you're facing a struggle, facing a battle today, look to the character of God. Yes, he is a just God, but he's also a gracious God. He's a merciful God. He's a loving God. This is the same God who sent his son Jesus to die on the cross in your place and in my place. So whatever battle, whatever struggle, whatever valley you're facing today, I promise you, even though God has allowed you to get there, allowed you to go through that valley, He's doing it to show you something. He's doing it to show you more of Himself. He's doing it so that when you come out of that valley, that you will be stronger in your faith. You'll be closer to God than you were before. And if you look back in your life and there's not a valley there, I guess I'm trying to get my words together here. If you have a valley in your past, right, that you didn't grow closer to God, then you failed at seeing what God had for you in that time. I heard a preacher once said, right, he said, don't ever let a good valley essentially go to waste. In other words, while you're there, while you're in the pain and suffering, learn all that you can because God has you there for a reason. You give Him all the praise and glory and honor. All the negative stuff you think of, right? Don't credit that to God. The negative, the pain and the suffering is a direct result of sin from the garden, maybe not a direct result of sin in your life, particularly at that moment, but as a result of the fall. Let's blame Satan for that. But let's credit God with righteousness. And if we trust Him by faith, it'll be credited to us as righteousness as well. So today, who will you trust? What characteristic of God will you place your faith and trust in and place your focus in today? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.